Hey guys, welcome back. Now, it's no secret that I love the Underworld universe. The vampires are awesome, the werewolves are awesome, and everything in between those two species, yeah, you have guessed it right, awesome. Now, it's the everything in between that I want to talk about today, specifically the Lycans, and even more specifically, the first ever Lycan, Lucian, one of my all-time favorite characters from any fantasy franchise. So Lucian's story from start to finish just has everything, and if you're an avid fan of Underworld like me, then you'll understand how his journey just sucks you in. Being a vampire lore fan, it's not every day that you cheer against the vampires unless something really great forces you to do so, and Lucian is that something great for me. So let's take a look at his story. Lucian was born sometime in or around the year 1207 and was the first Lycan to ever exist. Before his birth, a feral group of werewolves descended from William Corvinus, the first ever werewolf, were used as slaves by the vampire race, but their unpredictability, aggressive behaviour and overall violent nature made it extremely difficult for the vampires to control the wolves in the means that they wished. There was also no means of communication between the species either, which didn't make things any easier. One night, an enslaved werewolf gave birth to what appeared to be a human child, something completely unheard of. Victor, the vampire elder, was immediately alerted to the news and went to see this werewolf-born human. Originally intending to kill the child out of fear of the unknown, Victor instead decided to embrace it and spare the child in order to oversee its development. It doesn't take long before Lucian displays the ability to transform back and forth between his human and werewolf forms, making him the very first Lycan. Victor, quickly understanding that he has a more advanced species to enslave, instructs Lucian to infect the humans he brings to him, slowly building an army of Lycan slaves. Victor genuinely warms to Lucian and treats him like a son, but never crosses the boundary of making the Lycan feel like an equal, as vampires must always be seen as the dominant and superior race. Despite the Lycan's enslavement, Lucian bears no anger to Victor, as he believes his beast-like feral nature is correctly being suppressed. Lucian does not want the fact that he's a Lycan to overshadow his sophisticated and understanding personality. As Lucian grows under Victor's leadership, the relationship continues to strengthen and the Lycan is given preferential treatment over the other Lycan slaves. It's not surprising, as Lucian is responsible for the creation of the Lycan army, and despite Victor's rootless beliefs, he does believe in fairness and just behaviour, as long as it does not affect the stature and continued rise of the vampire race. Sonia, Victor's daughter, is following in her father's footsteps, even with her reckless behaviour of putting her life at risk more than once. She meets Lucian and the two form an instant connection, something Victor notices but allows due to the fact that he is well aware of who's in control. He genuinely believes that neither Lucian nor Sonia would ever overstep the line that divides the two species, a line that should always remain a permanent, uncrossed fixture. However, knowing the risk, the two fall in love and keep their relationship a secret. They even wed in secret, covering their relationship at all costs. They both know they cannot truly be together while living in such circumstances, and Lucian informs Sonia that he crafted a key to remove his spiked collar, asking her to leave with him. She highlights her deep concern at crossing her father's wrath, stating he will hunt them down for all eternity. Several nights later, Sonia, while overseeing the arrival of human nobles, becomes overwhelmed by werewolves and comes very close to death. Lucian, alerted to the distress by the sounds of the werewolf's call, steals a horse and makes his way to Sonia. He removes his collar with his key, transforming into wolf form, and saves her life. Removing one's collar is not just forbidden, but it is actually a law of Victor's, And despite saving Victor's daughter's life, the law is still the law, resulting in Lucian receiving 30 lashes as punishment, severing any last ounce of respect that he once had for Victor. While in his cell, Lucian and the other Lycans all recognize that the werewolves not only backed down to Lucian's presence in his wolf form, but they actually listened to him, something not even Lucian expected. This earns the respect of Rise, who goes on to become one of the strongest Lycans in captivity after Victor has him turned. Lucian gives a speech to his fellow Lycans, informing them that they all have a choice and could be more than just Lycans. After another meeting with Sonia, the two plan to escape the castle. While seeking to free all the Lycans and take them with him, he knows that it is an impossible task for now. Andreas gives Lucian a key that will remove his shackles and allow him to transform once again at any time in exchange for Sonia's seat on the Vampire Council. Despite the council having to approve such an appointment, Tanis knows he'd still be a strong candidate with Sonia's permanent absence, perhaps just wanting a gap on the council to open up rather than Lucian or Sonia guaranteeing him the position, something neither could do. On Lucian's execution morning, a vampire guard is tricked into believing he's already dead by the others and hastily opens his cell only to be mauled to death by Lucian in full werewolf form. This helps Lucian rally all of the surrounding Lycans to break free and escape the castle for a new life instead of one in chains. The Lycans free as many as they can as they begin to overrun the castle, but it doesn't come without several dozen casualties. Lucian escapes to the forest with a group of Lycans, but plans to return to the castle to free the rest of his brothers, as he informs them that it is those in the castle who will pay the price. Knowing his control over the werewolves who stood down to his presence, Lucian travels deep into the forest to test their resolve even further by getting them to fight alongside him. This was once believed to be impossible, as werewolves were thought to have no humanity left within them to fall in order. Lucian returns to the castle in order to free Sonia, who is being held captive by Victor after learning of her betrayal through her blood memories. They successfully make their way to the castle courtyard, but are overrun and outnumbered by the sheer amount of vampire guards. Lucian watches as Sonia and Victor battle, with both of them reluctant to harm one another. Lucian then learns he is going to be a father after Sonia reveals to Victor that she's with child, hoping to appeal to her own father's paternal emotions. Victor is outraged and disgusted at the thought of a blood union between the two species and has both Lucian and Sonia imprisoned. A quick council deliberation sees all members, including Victor, vote on sentencing Sonia to death for her crimes against her own kind and falling pregnant with the offspring of a Lycan. Despite his own personal heartache, Victor, as always, places the safety and well-being of the vampire race before anything else. In order to break Lucian completely, he forces Lucian to watch Sonia succumb to the sun, leaving the Lycan completely devastated beyond any reasonable measure. What Victor is now unaware of is that his actions have resulted in what will become a never-ending war between the Lycans and the vampires. Lucian then uses the power of the moon to transform and heal before making his way to the castle walls and launching a rallying cry to the werewolves and the Lycans in the forest to attack the castle. The first true battle between both species has now begun. As the werewolves and Lycans attack the castle, dozens of vampires are killed and completely overrun. Werewolves, Lycans and vampires are in an all-out battle as Lucian quickly recovers from his wounds after Rise's help, and he joins the fight with Victor in his sights. Victor, an experienced fighter from his days as a warlord, leads the remaining vampires into battle. He lures Lucian to a secluded section of the castle where the two engage in a vicious battle. Exchanging blow after blow, the two cancel each other out until, using his surroundings initially, gave Victor an advantage as Lucian followed suit, pulling the chains attached to the castle rock out of place, thereby exposing Victor to the damaging rays of the sun, giving Lucian enough time to capitalize on his moment of weakness and wrapping Victor in the surrounding chains. Lucian then drives his sword through Victor's mouth and up through the back of his head in what appeared to be a killing blow before tossing him into the well water below. Lucian, victorious, stands atop of the castle doorway, informing his Lycan brethren that the war has only just begun. Lucian's story continues in Underworld, the first official story where he continues his own fight against the vampires in modern day. It's in this story that we meet Selene, who is fiercely loyal to Victor, especially after the latter altered history to make it look like that it was Lucian who started the war. I think werewolves are such an integral and important part of vampire lore, especially within Underworld, but also within other franchises too. That's why I've actually compiled my own list of the top 5 most powerful werewolves of all time, of all fiction, and let's kick it off right now with number 5 on this list by clicking the card to watch it right now and see if the Underworld werewolves or the Lycans rank on the video. The top 5 most powerful werewolves are right here to view, and let's kick it off with number 5. Click that card.